How does the internet's first comedian, who gained notoriety for trolling and making fun of people, find himself in court suing someone for trolling and making fun of him? Let's find out today on Abbreviated Internet History. Maddox's story begins way back in 1997, when the internet was nothing but text and small JPEG images. That's exactly what Maddox's website was that he launched that year, the best page in the universe. A website that was nothing but white text on a black screen with images. To give you an idea of how far back this guy goes in internet history, back then it would take almost 5 minutes to download an image that was 1 megabyte in size using a 28K modem.
It was dark times, Harry, dark times.
The best page in the universe made Maddox one of, if not the first funny man on the internet, and became one of the most popular websites at the time. This was before the times when the entire internet was reduced to 3 main websites, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. People would check back constantly for new funny articles, from things like, your kids' drawings suck, to hippies being killed, to can you find 6 things wrong with this picture? You know what? This is one thing I can agree with Maddox on. He would eventually write a book in 2006 called The Alphabet of Manliness, which became a New York Times bestseller, before making the transition to YouTube with The Best Show in the Universe in 2010.
Welcome to The Best Show in the Universe. I'm Maddox.
Yes, Maddox seems unable to produce a title without the words "in the universe" at the end, and it's going to become a theme. Dick Masterson is an internet satirist who entered the stage in the mid-2000s, gaining notoriety for writing the book Men Are Better Than Women, where, as the title self-explains, he lists ways that men are better than women. Around this time in 2007, Dick would appear on The Dr. Phil Show for several episodes inside the Dr. Phil house, where Dr. Phil tried to get him to respect women.
Women line up to date guys like me, and you've had them all on your show.
I don't see any women lined up to you, and I would definitely be at the end of that line.
Well, if you hit the treadmill a little more, you'd be at the front.
He failed spectacularly. Dick met Maddox through a mutual editor that they had teamed up with to produce a couple of TV pilots that went nowhere. After being rejected by the mainstream, they knew they'd have to take things into their own hands. On May 20th, 2014, Maddox and Dick Masterson launched The Biggest Problem in the Universe podcast, where the two would banter and compile a list of every problem in the universe and ranking them from biggest problem to not a problem. The show spanned 107 episodes and featured their sound engineer Sean and New York-based comedian Astereos. In November 2015, the moment that sparked a chain of events that would forever change these two took place. While at a wedding, Dick was spotted leaving with Maddox's ex-girlfriend known as 80s Girl. Yes, ex-girlfriend. They'd only been broken up for years. Years, Dick! The words of heartbreak were still fresh for Maddox, who had already moved on to a new girl known as Mental Jess, who he was living with and bought furniture with together. Despite all this healing Maddox had apparently done, it was still too soon for him, and he was too damaged, so much so that Maddox filled 80s Girl's phone with messages and sent her a handwritten love letter, which was later found by Dick and read aloud at a live show.
You are still the person I think of when I...
that I think about when I want to smile and then want to is crossed out.
Gotta go with stronger wording, guys.
Get a new piece of paper, start over, you're right at the beginning. Go to the stationery store and get some cardstock. I mean, he didn't even fucking rip it off the pad correctly. This is sloppy romanticism. This is sloppy!
We're getting a little bit too far ahead with that. Let's get back to Dick and Maddox's breakup. So months of tension would go by until May 31st, 2016, episode 107 of The Biggest Problem in the Universe, when Maddox would be joined by not Dick, but by longtime guest host Astereos.
But the show has run its course, and I think we've solved it. We found the big list of problems. We got every single problem in the universe.
Yeah. The show would then end with Dick launching his own podcast on a brand new podcast feed called The Dick Show, along with Sean the audio engineer. And Dick's new show featured guests talked about what made Dick rage, and new characters would emerge such as MadCucks, a satirical take on Maddox created by a Dick Show viewer. Audio engineer Sean would try to remain friends with both Dick and Maddox, but Maddox didn't like that he was still friends with Dick, and Sean would eventually side with Dick. Maddox launched his own new show after the biggest problem in the universe called The Best Debate in the Universe, which was pretty much the old show, but was just Maddox debating himself. A fatal mistake Maddox would make would be reusing the same iTunes feed that was used for Biggest Problem in the Universe. Listeners of the old show, The Biggest Problem in the Universe, all of a sudden had Maddox's new show, The Biggest Debate in the Universe, forced into their podcast feeds, whereas Dick Masterson started his new show from scratch. In November 2017, Maddox filed a lawsuit against Dick Masterson, Astereos, Coconuts, Patreon.com, and several others for $20 million. Using lawyer Kevin Landau, a dog bite attorney who specializes in suing people who receive dog bites.
Here's how Kevin Landau makes his money. He sues giant companies to try to get a settlement. Kevin Landau has sued NBC Universal, Playboy, Brad Gray Entertainment, and now Kevin Landau is suing the world's largest PR company, the company that I used to work for. Because 4 days after I'm served the lawsuit, there's an article in PR Week and in Ad Week saying, giant company gets sued. That's what he does. He sues you. He creates a negative shitstorm of press, and then I assume he takes a big percentage of the settlement.
Yeah.
The complaint that Kevin Landau filed was so messy that the judge could not understand what it was he was reading. It all boiled down to Maddox being offended that he was called a cuck.
This trial is outrageous.
And in the United States of America, the land of free speech, it is perfectly legal to call somebody a cuck, or to make fun of them. Maddox also posed as a woman called Heather S., which, as funny as that part of the story is, there isn't enough time to scratch the surface, because this is abbreviated history, so I'll leave a link to Justin Whangs' video down below who covered that in detail at the time. The complaint was thrown out and Maddox received nothing, but most importantly, however, the victory against Maddox did not come without casualties. On top of the stress from the ordeal suffered by all parties involved, Astereos Kokonos would lose his job as a result from Maddox's actions posing as Heather S.
So,
yes, because I lost my job.
How did you lose your job? How did you lose your job?
This thing's crazy. It's why I need my crazy
The
juice
judge won't even
to
acknowledge
stay
it.
sane.
Before filing the LOLSuit in 2017, Maddox had filed to trademark the name The Biggest Problem in the Universe. Dick counterclaimed to prevent Maddox being the sole owner of the show, seeing as they made the show together. To prove that The Biggest Problem was not a dead property and that it was still getting downloads, and remember, Maddox had been redirecting people subscribed to the old show to his new show, Dick logged into his iTunes account to get some stats. But Dick made a mistake.
I had to gather evidence to show that people were still listening to the feed.
Oh, yeah.
So I logged into my iTunes account to see, to get some analytics. So I logged into my Apple ID to get some download stats on the on my archival Biggest Problem feed.
Mm-hmm.
I logged into the wrong account because who logs into these things? You know. I logged into my Dick Masterson account and I said, "Oh my, what is this?"
You got to be kidding me!
It said, "This is the best debate in the universe."
Dick stumbled upon the entire catalog of Maddox's new show, The Best Debate in the Universe. This entire time, Dick had access to his nemesis' show, and had Maddox not filed for the trademark, Dick may have never realized this. Dick didn't want to fuck with people who enjoyed the new show. He only wanted to fuck with Maddox, so he didn't delete the show or anything malicious like that. What he did instead was recorded a short intro and inserted it into the latest episode.
Hey everybody, this is Dick Masterson. You are listening to an episode of The Best Debate in the Universe, or The Biggest Debate in the Universe, whatever the fuck this show is called. I don't know why you're listening to this shit, but you are listening to it. There is nothing wrong with your audio player. I just wanted to talk to you for a quick second before I return you back to your show.
Explaining to the fans who may not have known what had happened, and everything that Maddox had been up to, from the LOLSuit to getting Astereos Kokonos fired, and where they can now find Dick. Because remember, Dick had been blackballed by Maddox.
Come on over to thedickshow.com. We'll talk about it. I'm there. Sean's there. Astereos is there. Astereos, who is now fired because Maddox pretended to be a woman online and pretended to be a female journalist and emailed Astereos' bosses saying that Astereos is an alt-right, like such a fucking crybaby. I now return you to your podcast, which you should unsubscribe from. This show is dog shit.
The last episode of The Best Debate in the Universe was published on July 8th, 2019, titled, What's the Most Perfect Thing About Maddox? Maddox's reason for stopping the show was that it took up too much time and energy, and he wanted to focus on other projects.
And I do want to talk about my future projects, some of the things we're going to be doing in the future.
Since then, Maddox has written no new books and uploaded 4 videos to YouTube. His podcast website, MadCucks Media, has not had a new episode on any of its shows in over 2 years. It's safe to say that Maddox has taken an indefinite break from entertainment. May he rest in peace. Dick is still going strong over on his show with over 369 episodes of The Dick Show. He also relaunched The Biggest Problem in the Universe with Vito Gesualdi filling in as co-host.
Great problem, Dick.
And in May 2023, Dick had his YouTube channel permanently removed after receiving 3 strikes. Sean, the audio engineer, is still a regular co-host of The Dick Show, and to this day does not participate in social media. Astereos Kokonos eventually distanced himself from Dick as the years went by, and today he can be found on the loudest podcast with his co-host, Sarancho. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this, make sure to click the subscribe button for more, and leave a comment down below of what internet history you'd like to see abbreviated.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. To the ladies and the fellas and the gender dysmorphically jealous.
It's Macho Man Randy Savage.